This is Dean with Mad Max RT. Today I'm going to shift from my 2014 Challenger to my 2008 Dodge Ram, which I'm doing some work on. I did this painting on the side windows, between the side windows. I did back in 2012, and it's lasted pretty well up until now, as well as the headlight covers. I went ahead and painted those, and I did the stripe as well. The stripe was done with automotive paint on the hood, but everything else was done with a Rust-Oleum Satin finish. So I carefully masked everything off. I've already taken the covers off the wheels, and I had plastic over the back. I'm leaving this plastic on just because I don't want it to get any flakes or dirt on it yet. So I'm going to let it set up and fully dry before I remove this. But I've had to paint this little nose piece on the front bumper. It's made of like a rubber plastic. It looked really bad. And it needed to be painted. It's just, you couldn't put that back to black stuff, wouldn't work. It was kind of a chalky white color. These headlight covers had just gone kind of flat. They still look good, but they were kind of more of a flat instead of a satin. So I finished painting everything. I've got about 4 coats on everything. This one I just finished painting here on this side. Turned out pretty smooth. So I have here, I've got kind of Rust-Oleum Satin. This stuff holds up for years. Now the truck was garage for pretty much the bulk of the 10 years that I've had it, but this last year, since I've got the Maxima, the Challenger, I've been living in the garage, so this has been sitting outside for about a year now, and it's starting to show, you know, a little bit of wear with getting it faded, and so it was time to paint it. So I'm going to go ahead and, I already washed the whole thing down with dish soap and hot water yesterday, getting it nice and clean. Let everything dry overnight, put it in the garage. I did the painting. After this sits about 2 days, I'm going to go over the whole thing. It needs to be really cut and polished. I'm going to do that by hand. I usually use the Meguiar's products. So I may use the polishing compound or the cleaner wax, which works pretty well, and then I'll usually put a final coat of the Carnauba wax on top, and it's good for like a year. I'll get about a good year out of it or more. And of course, if now that it's not garage, I might do it every 6 months. But, you know, it's my work truck. It just turned over about 81,000 miles, so it's still got very low miles considering it's almost 11 years old. But, you know, you got to do the maintenance. I had a new windshield put on the thing recently because it was just so chipped up and cracked. So it's like new. It's like brand new inside. The body is absolutely immaculate. The wheels, I wanted to get different, like SRT rims. I just haven't done it yet. I'm tempted to have these powder coated black, but I'm not sure yet. I'm kind of wait it out. I made these vinyl GTX decals, and I may keep them on. I may remove them and do them in a darker silver. I also painted the black here back in 2012, and this is actually held up well. It's really not in the sun. It looks fine. And I also blacked out around these taillights in black, like to kind of border it. Those are a little dull. Now those, what I'll do is I'll take those off, mask them, and do them out in the backyard and just paint the edges again with some satin black. I even painted with spray cans the silver bottom down there, which is metal. So, you know, it's been a good truck. It's held up, but the paint's getting a little dull on it. Here's my cat Oliver. Hi, Oliver. And getting it prepared for the winter, so it's going to look good. But this is, you know, pretty much how I do it. I mask everything down and paint everything, and then it's just maintenance. You know, about every 4 years you lightly sand it, remask it, and paint it. Now you've got to cover the entire truck because it's not safe. Like even having the back uncovered, guaranteed some wind's going to catch that paint and it's going to lay on that top of the back of the bed there, and it's really hard to get off. So it's just always better to take the time and just mask everything. I use this thin kind of light mill plastic, and I cover everything up. That way there's no risk. So I already took this off up here because I didn't want it to blow back onto the paint. But it's held up well. I'm real happy with it. And it still looks like new under the hood. I steam clean that usually once a year very carefully with some degreaser and kind of clean it by hand and go through the K&M air filter as well and clean it by hand. But that's, you know, how I do it. I just did the front of my wife's Maxima as well. We bought it, and I pretty much liked it the way it was, but it had this silver, bright silver area right under the Nissan emblem that I absolutely hated. So I talked to my wife about it, and she liked the idea of blacking it out. So I took the same 400 grit and sanded that down and did the same thing, completely covered the car, masked off around the grill, and repainted it just a couple weeks ago, and it really looked nice. And so then I kind of got encouraged. I said, the hell with it, I'll just do the truck and get it done before the winter comes. So I'm going to let this sit at probably 2 days, put it in the garage, and then I'll start rubbing it out and waxing it by hand. I don't like to use a buffing wheel any more than I have to, because when you start taking material off on the micro thin clear coat. So I like to do things by hand, that way you don't overdo it. It takes more time, but gives me some exercise and looks good at the same time. I'm going to have to rub the Challenger out next. It hasn't been done in about a year, but it still looks good because I don't really drive it. It just sits in the garage. But I got to get it lowered next year and get some 275s in the back at least. And I'll probably just replace the 270 or 245s in the front, but I'm real happy with it. And I'm going to do the blackout on the hood, paint the hood as well like I did on my truck, and then do the rear spoiler in a satin black, kind of like the SRT ones. Other than that, I'm going to leave it completely stock and probably leave the emblems off. I just kind of a low-key look to it. But anyway, just a quick thing from Dean at Mad Max RT. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to give you more updates when the truck's completely done. I'll show another kind of walk around the whole thing with it all detailed out. Thanks for watching, guys. So it's been 2 days. I let it sit. I let the masking and everything kind of stay on there until everything fully cured and dried. I peeled it off. It looks just perfect. You'd never know it was done with spray cans. This little rubber piece here was completely faded and blown out. Looks like brand new. This headlight looks great. I got my new windshield, which looks like new. It looks like a new truck. I've got this satin black painted on the sides, on both sides. I took my back in black plastic restored and went over the door handles, the mirrors, the hood cowl, and the front air dam, which looks like new now. It looks good. I use this mother's back in black to clean up the plastic around the fog lamps and the air dam and all the black plastic pieces. It's good stuff. So it looks nice, you know. I got the black down the side. I've got the interior all detailed. Looks like it rolled off the showroom. You'd never know, it's almost 11 years old. Got 81,611 miles. Still like brand new. It's a good truck. It's a Bighorn edition. Came with everything. I mean, this thing's very basic compared to the modern trucks today with all the bells and whistles and 12 computer systems and everything else. Pretty much power windows and seats, and that's it. Leather, sunroof, and that's pretty much it. I've got the back in black done on this. Went over this with it. The only thing I've got left to do is the tail lights, which you can see it's kind of chalky. So when I detail the truck, I'm going to take these off, sand them down, and redo them in the satin black. And other than that, I'm going to let it sit about 2 weeks, and I'm going to rub it out and wax it with the Meguiar's Carnauba wax. And it should look like brand new again. So it goes to show with a little upkeep, just keep it up. Every few years, like 4 years or so, I'll sand down the headlights and the area between the side windows and redo them. Other than that, it's, you know, just typical maintenance. Once a month I detail it. Kept it nice. I got to rub out the hood stripe too, which is done with an automotive OEM satin black with the GTX hood stripes. I painted actually to the exact dimensions of the GTX 1970 cowl hood stripes on the 70 Roadrunners or GTX cars. So Challenger I'm going to be working on next, but that's pretty much it. I just thought I'd kind of give you a quick shot of my work vehicle, everyday driver, 5.7 Hemi. I've got the Ram Air, you know, air induction K&N kit and a 40 series side exhaust single flow master. It's very loud, it runs great. This thing has been insanely reliable, not one problem in almost 11 years. So anyway, thanks for watching. This is Dean from Mad Max RT.